Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Three Live Canes. As always, I am Chris. There's the box right there that says so, and over there's another box inside of his bill with the box that says his name down there in that box. That's Dabo, here to talk to you guys about another week in Miami Hurricanes football. A very, to quote Steve-O, fortuitous week for the Miami Hurricanes football program, which comes in the way of a 5-star offensive tackle commitment. Once at one time, seemingly forever ago, the number one player in the land. Now, I don't know. Now 24/7 is doing some stuff, but don't worry about that. Certainly one of the best players in the country, high school players in the country, a blue chipper for sure, headed on his way to Miami to play next season. But still, a guy that could see his time on the field for Miami come very soon with this quality of play. But before we get to all that, Steve-O has 46 new plays. He wants to try to fit into this 100-day countdown. Not sure how it's going to work, but we'll try all of that. But first, Bill, how are we doing tonight?
I'm super big chilling today. It was a roller coaster of events, essentially from where we were talking about this, last week right on the show all the way up until about Tuesday at 2:30 is kind of I think when all those crystal balls started to roll in. But you land the number one player in the country, something that really hasn't been done since DJ. Back in what was that, 2000? 2000. So big week. Miami is the talk of the town, for better or worse. But it's an exciting time.
Steve-O, how are we feeling?
Always feeling good when you get a 5-star offensive lineman, number one player in the nation, regardless of what the rankings shake out to be after there. But yeah, I saw a CF Canes fan thing. Your on three is literally, they just bought Rivals, so I haven't had a contract with. I don't have a contract with them, but this is what they do. They're propaganda for the SEC and Big Ten. Like that's how they gradually get to where they go. Like, oh, the SEC is stronger defense. No, bro. They just had the less methodical offenses out of the entire country. They were the last conference to adapt, literally. And now they celebrate shootouts that were going on with all these other conferences beforehand. They love these Bama, Tennessee's 50 points, Ole Miss's 50 points. They love that now. It's all about propaganda because they push the narrative. These people on three are taking money to push whatever narrative they want. So don't take to heart what they do. They were bracing us for that impact. Like they were bracing for the impact of him picking Miami when that story dropped about him getting $2.5 million. I'm not going to act like I'm super connected to the Canes connection, but I'm connected enough to know I don't think he got $2.5 million a year. I don't think that's true. I just don't. I'm not the guy. I'm not the plug, but the guy I know that be hanging around the plug don't think it's 2.5, and I know because they donated for that because it's all hands on deck when you're trying to get the number one player in the nation. Yeah, I just don't think that people just want to throw some outlandish number out there to be like, oh, that's why he went. Well, I mean, hey, if some kid or some school offered me that money, if I was in that position, yeah, I'm going. But like they just want to throw that narrative out there, but they don't ever say that about Georgia. When we were going for that safety Aguero and they dropped like $2 million on him like right then and there and gave him some cash because he had family issues going on. Like they don't talk about that stuff, even though it's like well documented. People know that they bought him a house before he got to Georgia. Like people know about that stuff, but on three would never report about it. Nobody would ever report about it because they've been doing this stuff before NIL. It was 50 grand in the Hellcat. 50 grand in a Charger, here's another 50 grand, keep your parents good and happy. But like now they can't just do that. And now kids are getting their worth at other teams. But I think this had nothing to do with just money. I mean, bro, it's 2025. Every top 5-star player is gonna have NIL factored into their recruitment. Like, let's be real. I'm pretty sure everybody's in the relative ballpark at this point. Would you rather be coached by Stacey Sorrells or would you rather be coached by Coach Mirabal and Coach Mario? I don't think it's that hard when people dig into what's going on. People are bringing up Miami's draft picks on O-line. versus Georgia's in the last 10 years. It's been a while since those picks you've been naming. You're naming 2019 guys, 2020 guys. Where's it been recently since you hired, buddy? And then they said Oregon got 10. Who the hell was pumping out them Oregon commits and them Oregon NFL offensive linemen for the last 10 years, bro? 5 of those years it was Mario. Mm-hmm. He was on staff before he got that head coaching job, bro. So that whole narrative is just stupid because they're trying to say Oregon has more than Miami. Where do you think we hired him from? Why do you think we hired him? Like, what did he do at Alabama? Like, some of the best offensive lines in NCAA history he was part of on that Alabama squad. Everybody know what I'm talking about. That Alabama squad where they would get it 5-star like Evan Neal, and then they would have to put him at guard just because there's no way you're getting out that tackle, or else you're just sitting the bench. Like that's the type of O lines that he was putting out there. So yeah, let them do their narrative. They're gonna say this, they're gonna say that, they're gonna do this, they're gonna say it was the money. Don't believe for a second, Canes fan, that we're paying this kid $2.5 million a year. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I think that number is astronomical. I think that would be unfair of Miami. I just don't think if Miami had to do that, I don't think they would have asked their donors to pony up that much money for a high school kid to commit for at least 3 years, to commit $5.5 million or no, like $7.5 million. Everybody saw how that just went with Nico. I just don't think that's gonna go.
Sorry, Steve. I saw Phil start to laugh too.
It was the math.
It was the math, Steve.
Yeah. Well, most of these contracts are like 2 years. So I was trying to say maybe he has 3 years, but most of these contracts, all these contracts when it first happened were 3 to 4 year deals. Now all of them are like 1 year, maybe 2 years, and they have like a date where they could, do it. Because now like conferences in like the Big Ten, now they have the revenue sharing contract that they have to do. And SEC's that's coming too, so it's kind of weird now with all these kids' contracts.
I'm going to not defend the whole money argument, but it's college football tradition and nature that if someone doesn't pick your school, it has to be because of something that's out of your control, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think about all of our misses in recruiting the last 15 years. What did we always say? Oh, the bag man got him, right? That's like the running joke, the bag man, right? Is there truth to it? Probably. But could a Georgia fan ever admit that, hey, there's a chance that they could even be in the same tier of development at Miami than Georgia? No, they can't do that, even though they know Stacey Searle sucks. And a few of them did at least admit that, but they still say it's the money.
Right.
So that's college football. I don't pay attention to it. That $2.5 million, that was a psychological warfare from Georgia. The D-money, Pete, they talked about it. That I think kind of backfired in a way. But at the end of the day, right, this player, this high-profile recruit, did his due diligence. You're the number one player in the country. Your parents were athletes, and he made his decision with all factors, involved, right? NIL is a factor. It's 2025. That this is the world in which we live in. But again, we're working in tiers here. It's not like Miami's offering 10 million and Georgia's offering like $200. He would have got paid a lot of money regardless of where he went. But it's really hard for other fan bases to admit that NIL, one, can be a good thing, and two, when people talk about like, hey, it's Miami, they're just bagging up recruits. That's kind of recruiting for us. Hey, we have money, right? It's legal. We're doing it the right way. So there's a lot to unpack with this commitment, just from a national perspective, NIL perspective. But at the end of the day, right, the kid made a very sound, logical decision. You heard him talk about it. You talked about all throughout through the reasons, right? Why he made that decision. Nothing he said was false, or he wasn't lied to, or sold a bill of goods. He's coming to get developed by some of the best offensive line coaches in the country. Yeah,
like you see if you're looking to go play day one, play 3 years, go to the league. I mean, how many of these schools can say, look, we just did that? Like we are actively, physically doing that right now. the Georgia offensive linemen that they just put a bunch of guys in the NFL in this draft, and almost every one to a man, the issue was, yeah, he's okay, but I feel like he didn't reach his potential at Georgia. Every single guy that came out of Georgia, Jared Wilson went a round later than he was supposed to. I think the Dolphins got him because, he's a good player, just wasn't quite what he should have been his last year at Georgia. Ratliff, same thing. All those dudes, the same exact story for every bit of it.
Let's just be honest, bro. This is not the Georgia offensive line that I knew growing up, bro. That when Mark Richt was running it, even early Kirby Smart's tenure, that offensive line has fallen off. Let's just be real. You could call it NIL. They say there's parity in college football. Yes, that's true. That is definitely true. They're not going to stack as much, 5 stars on offensive line, but they're still getting highly rated guys. These guys are getting drafted on potential after being at Georgia for 4 years. But the Georgia running game is terrible. They were like
last year.
It was very bad. And they had Etienne, who's a good back, bro. He had a really good career at Florida, and he's probably going to do well in the NFL because he kind of fits the mold of what a third down back NFL looks like. But that is terrible, bro. Like, imagine just growing up and you went from the Todd Gurleys, the Sony Michels, even the ones that didn't do nothing because they got injured, like the Keith Marshalls, bro. Like, Georgia was able to run the football. It didn't matter if your grandpappy was back there because they moved people off the ball. That is not the case no more. Let's just be real. If they had the offensive line that Miami had, they might have won the championship because they look like a complete team championship-wise everywhere else but the offensive line. So I'm not surprised by these narratives because they want to shine away from what the actual problem is. And, this big SEC team with all these 4 and 5 stars, they're just not getting it done.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I mean, their pass protection was decent. It's not like Carson Beck was under so much duress. He had more receiver drops than anything. But, bro, when it comes down to it, they could not run the football. They don't have a Francis Mauanoa next year who says, hey, when you tell Cantwell, yo, you said you want to come do 3 years and go top 10? Yeah, look at me.
Like, it's
look, I'm doing it right now.
We're active. We have that thing to offer. Like, if you're Miami, you could say, I mean, Mario had the easiest job in the world of recruiting a kid by just like literally pointing at a locker and being like, you want to be that? You want to be this dude, start for 3 years, make all kinds of money in college, and then go be a top 10 player in the draft? Like, we can do that.
Inherited arguably one of the worst Power 5 offensive lines when he came here in 2022. And he has how much guys on the NFL roster? Cohen, Matt Lee got drafted, Jalen Rivers got drafted. He has a bunch. Just Francis is a top 10 pick next year. Who else in the league on that offensive line?
I think Carpenter got picked up.
Carpenter got picked up, but yeah, Lee got drafted. Rivers drafted, and so like, bro, he's been here 3 years. Has 4 offensive linemen in the NFL. Has one coming that's going to be a big one next year, and we still have a lot of guys to be excited about. We have some youth on the offensive line that's getting developed, so you really have no idea. That's how it was at Oregon. These guys sit 1 year, 2 years. Next thing you know, this is the biggest tackle in the draft. This is the biggest guard in the draft. That was happening already. We've seen it proven. I just think it's that simple where you could be like, hey, I've been here 3 years. I got 4 guys in the NFL already, and one's next year, like, going to be guaranteed. He can low-key, like, barely play next year, knocking on wood, but he could, like, opt out if this was a COVID year and still go first round. like he could, Francis literally could have opted out like a group and still go first round.
Yeah.
That's just how undeniable it is.
Look opposite him. Like, I mean, you have 2 more different scenarios than Francis, who is this all-time blue chip, offensive tackle recruit, like easy money. Everyone knows he's going to be a stud. And opposite him, you have Markel Bell, a guy that, Miami brought in like a unique situation and has turned him into another guy that could go in the first 2 rounds of the draft. Like, then you have Inez Cooper, and then you have like
Inez Cooper was the lowest rated recruit in that transition class.
Yeah, like, and that's a guy that they just spotted and said, we can make him a dude. And look how long he's been starting for. Like, he's a guy that he's trusted this whole way through. So, I mean, it's beautiful to see. And I just want to add in, like, let's say hypothetically, Miami did have the highest offer. Miami did pay 2.5. No one else is willing to go that high. then I refer to Steve. Are you a big Chappelle Show guy?
Yeah.
That it's a hide the money y'all situation. Like hide the money y'all. There's poor teams around that can't pay like we could pay. Like, all right, if you want to argue like that's the excuse, oh, why we paid them more in this world? If we can pay more, we're gonna get better players. So I don't know. I you want to talk about it? Like, yeah, Bill was saying before. I was like, it always was the bagman thing. Oh, they're cheating. Put your glasses up. But now it's just if we have
Ain't
more
no
money,
fun when the rabbit got the gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just these schools that push these propagandas are still trying to put out big offers. You think these guys have gotten these players that are just going there just because SEC? You want to know that SEC propaganda? It's more for older people. You know the SEC propaganda they put on the young kids? That you get paid more. You get paid more. That's what they're saying to the kids. That SEC propaganda about this and defense, that's for us, man. We've been hearing that for a long time, bro. The new rhetoric is you go to the SEC and get paid. You go to the Big Ten and get paid. Look at our media contracts. Look at our this. Hey, we're doing play rep. That's what they're selling to these kids, and they a damn lie. That's what they do behind the back doors. I done seen it from Florida, Georgia, Texas A&M, LSU, Alabama. I watched Alabama get their nuts squeezed by Florida because they couldn't keep up with the money Nashawn Montgomery was going to get from Florida. Like, they've been doing this stuff, but they don't say nothing about that when an SEC school gets big boyed and moneyed out. They're not going to say, oh, Florida really did Alabama in dirty. Nah, they're going to just save that rhetoric for, oh, Miami got this recruit. That's what they do.
No, there's a clear bias out there, right, for the SEC, Big Ten, more SEC, I guess, than the Big Ten. But On Three had a lot of talk about kind of like the super teams and this is something we talked about when NIL first came out. Is it's going to level the playing field to some degree, right? Do we get a Jackson Cantwell pre-NIL? Probably not. Right. Because again, bags, whatever, super teams, but every player that we keep away from a Georgia, Texas, and Alabama and Ohio State just levels that playing field a little bit more. And I think that Georgia fans are starting to realize that maybe without their super teams, maybe they're not as untouchable as they believed. And, they kind of saw that last year, right? Kind of a disappointing year for them. Yes, they won the SEC, one game out in the playoffs, didn't win a game there. So I think the SEC is starting to realize that, hey, maybe this NIL that we thought was going to be so great for us, maybe there's some teams out there that are going to, be big spenders. That's we're one of them. I'm sure USC is spending some money, even though they just had a 5-star decommit today too, as is tradition with them.
Isn't Texas Tech like third in NIL spending or something like that?
They're going crazy. And I hope they didn't give a lot of money for that portal guy to come back. The 5-star receiver that went from Hudson. Yeah, I hope they didn't give him that much money. But that's the thing, though. Teams are willing to spend, but these big teams that have all these huge facilities, how are you getting them, bro? Most of them are donors. There is donor fatigue right now when it comes to hitting them. I know Charles Barkley said it about Auburn, how they're constantly, hitting them up for money for NIL. And he's like, bro, I done did more for Auburn than I could do. Like, I'm not going to pay this kid to be here 1 year and have no guarantee that investment is going to even be made good.
Right.
So, like, there's a lot of fatigue there. So when you hear rhetoric about the NIL being unsustainable, it is unsustainable in the way it's going, where it's just pay for play every semester. Because you can hit the spring portal or you can hit the December portal. Like, low key, that's what it is. That is unsustainable. But even if they get it back on track, it'd still be a benefit for everybody else, because you might give everybody gets a floor. There's going to be like a floor because, hey, this is what you make as a freshman at this conference, sophomore, junior, senior. And then that lets the school and the TV revenue take care of that. And then when the kids that you really want, that's when you have your donors and collectives pull up and iron out the rest of that stuff.
Mhm.
That would definitely help, because there's definitely going to be in a year or two, a lot of people are not going to care about paying to be good. I'm just telling you, that's the way it's heading. That's where a lot of these donors and collectives are going. There's only so much schools that are willing to do that, and most of them are in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're still on
Texas Tech.
We're still
land
learning
of
what's going to
unlimited
happen
money.
with the
The
revenue
house
share and
settlement.
all that. And there was a tweet from Ross Dellinger that apparently there's like we talked about it weeks or maybe months ago. There's like a law firm that is essentially going to act as like the NIL approvers or whatever. And they came out and they said that 90% of current collective deals would be no good if what like they want to do passes. So they call themselves the NIL clearinghouse, and my response on the board was the NIL clearinghouse sounds like it's going to get sued into oblivion probably within like a week of them even attempting to deny payment in some form. So I think there's probably that's going to get really messy, and I don't even know how that's going to. Yeah, so I mean,
I think the schools
give in now, see what happens later, but you got the money, spend it, right? Reset the market, force those other teams to start overpaying.
Yeah, that's a great point, Bill, because the NIL clearinghouse would definitely get sued into oblivion. But the thing is, schools and conferences have to set regulations. You can't sue the SEC for saying, hey, this is what we do for freshmen, this, that. You can't sue them for that. This is your portion for the media here, and we have NIL for this. If everybody, the market's already crashing down.
Yeah.
People thought the market was going up. It's actually going down. The number on a lot of these people are inflated. Like Carson Beck, $4 million to come here. I don't think it was $4 million. I'm just being real. Cam Moore had like 1.8. Let's be real. So did you pay Carson Beck $4 million? Definitely a better resume, I guess you could say. Then coming over, everybody can look at the footage and be like, he ain't Cam though. But yeah, a lot of this stuff is inflated. The Nico was at 2.4, wanting to get up to that inflated magical number. No one was paying that. That's why they bought that on-3 rhetoric. Oh, Miami paying this quarterback $4 million. That's why he's leaving Georgia. No, he's leaving Georgia because y'all did nothing but put people who can't catch the ball around him. He can't hand the ball off. He grew up thinking, hey, this is the easiest quarterback job in the world. I hand the ball off, and I do play action, and I got a guy who runs a 4.3, and he's 6'4", and he's wide open, and I just don't miss him on the 3 times I throw it. It's the easiest quarterback job coming up. If you're a kid growing up, like, hey, you run the ball. There's 8 people in the box every time you play Georgia. Every time someone sees us, they're scared of us running the ball. But hey, newsflash, that's not it. So they had to make up some rhetoric that we're paying them $4 million or plus or whatever the heck. It is what it is. That's just what they do. But that the market is fake. You can see people that list stuff all the time. You can have a Pokemon card and I'm going to list it for $100,000. Don't mean that's what the value is for. You just think or listed it for it, man. A lot of these players are in for rude awakenings because teams are cracking down on that. And I think the Nico situation was a great thing for college football, with Tennessee just being like, hey, go. That boy had a Charizard on deck. That's crazy. That is wild.
Ready to roll. That's
$100,000 right there.
It's actually worth a lot of money. I don't know how much it's worth, but it's supposed to be worth a lot of money.
Well, hey, there you go. $100,000. Set the market. Set the market. And then because there's going to be some On3 is going to set the market. On3 is going to tweet it and say, hey, Hurricanes fans selling $150,000 card so we can flip Georgia commit.
Go right into the NIL for Canes Connection, baby. Canes Connection.
That's hilarious. But that's literally how it goes. What's your tip on?
There's a lot of I think it was a lot of Pokemon.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Pokemon stuff.
Fort Knox put one. To be honest, I like that. I mean, because they barely get players transferring out. They don't really take much transfers in. I don't like Dabo much. I'm not going to pretend it. I'm not going to fake the vibe. But, dog, is he a good coach? Yeah, he is, bro. Let's be real. He's had a lot of staff turnover just like everybody else. He's had OCs that went places and they didn't do nothing. He's had defensive coordinators that have gone places. Jury's still out on Brett Venables, but it ain't looking that good right now at Oklahoma. And no matter what, Clemson is still – did they drop a little bit back? But, yeah, they went from Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. Them boys is falling back down to earth eventually. So, I definitely have an approach to where I think about it. I think it's good, actually. I think kids are actually getting developed at Clemson because they're not jumping to the portal looking at what their best thing is. They're looking at how they can improve. They're not looking for, okay, if this doesn't work out, I could just jump here. And when you have that mindset, you're not giving it everything you have because you have a backup plan in mind. You have an escape route in mind. So I actually like what they're doing. Is it sustainable for them? Probably not, because that's why they're not at that upper echelon of college football like they've been.
Right.
Are they still a premier team? Yeah, they're going to win 10 games every year for sure. That's going to be their floor / height. But I mean, for a fan of college football, it's nice to, imagine every year you just knew who was on your team. It wasn't like 18 new guys every spring, 18 new guys every this. So, I mean, as a college football fan for Clemson, it's probably the easiest for roster management.
I was listening to a podcast, a gambling podcast. Clemson's a favorite to win the ACC. There's plus money. The guy, this gambler, believed that they should be like favored, like minus money. But he said in 6 of their 8 ACC games, they're probably going to be favored by 10 or more points, which is crazy to think about. But I think Clemson is becoming a very sexy national pick, to kind of make a run, not just make the playoffs, but make a run. But we only really have to worry about them is in Charlotte.
Yeah, they have that quarterback now for a third year. Hey, this quarterback does really well. They'll do a lot to quiet a lot of the Dabo heat, because obviously when he for a long time at Clemson, because it wasn't even just people forget how long he's been at Clemson. There's been some really good quarterback play over there. Obviously, the peak of it was Deshaun and Sunshine, but before that, they had the Taj Boyds. Like, they had guys who could go. So if this quarterback as his third year, what's his name again? Klubnik. Yeah. If he comes out here and has like a Clemson quarterback year where he's giving off aura, then it would probably quiet a lot. I would love for them to just fall flat on their face, because I don't really like Dabo, but I respect the man. And if we got to see him in Charlotte, I know damn well they're going to be prepared and ready to go. Yeah. And one thing about Clemson, they're very hard to beat when they don't make mistakes. We beat them, at home the other year with Emory at quarterback. We didn't make much mistakes. They made a bunch of mistakes.
That was that Corey Flag game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Corey Flag game. So yeah, definitely going to be tough no matter what. I just don't see a team blowing them out, even if they're playing some of these like playoff type teams. It's just hard to see a team blowing Clemson out.
All right, now real quick, I know some other stuff we didn't talk about, and talking about the, getting to the playoff and all that, and what could come of it. There's a little conversation we could have about some of the talk about the 16-team playoff, but all the talk about Cantwell, it's kind of turned into discussion of, what it means for Miami and like the NIL stuff and all that. But we didn't really talk about Jackson Cantwell specifically. So it's, go back to get a little bit of Jackson Cantwell and the kind of like actual player we are getting. So we'll do what we do. We'll throw some clips up. Steve, you haven't done your.
No, I've been working a lot and just working with the kids. So I haven't released it yet, but I got it. It's pretty much when you see something like that, 158 pancakes. Like when you start counting pancakes, that's just like, oh my God! Like you went back on clip just to like you just dedicated to the game, man. Dedicated, counting out how much pancakes you got.
Yeah, 158 is a crazy number.
Yeah, elite feet. Let's be real. There's a lot of guys who are tall and big, and you get the words thrown out about them. Oh, you just got to develop them. We take a couple of those every year because Mario and Mirabal know how to develop depth. But this guy has it all. Total package, long arms. He could strike edge rushers. Like, bro, imagine flying off the ball on the edge, thinking you're going to get somewhere. And this guy is like 2 feet away from you, and his arm's already on you. Like super long arms, bro. Very quick feet, is nimble, maybe potential for some screens thrown to him behind the line of scrimmage. I'm not going to get, Coach Dawson started, but very mobile, great, powerful guy. I mean, again, when you're talking about 5 stars, it's because he's the type of guys that recruiter sites think are going to be drafted in the top 32 picks. A lot of them don't pan out, but on offensive line, they kind of have a better record for that because it's a lot easier to see guys like this is different than most guys in most classes. I don't think there was much guys like him where you could say, hey, this guy's a bona fide draft pick. Like, remember when we were at the Josh Conley, literally up until freaking July. But like this is that type of guy where you just know he's going to be a high pick, bro, as long as he stays healthy. There's nothing stopping this guy. He has to work a little hard just to make sure he doesn't plateau. But, man, he has everything. Solid feet, quick. He can stall edge rushers. I mean, power in the run game. For lack of better words, I mean, this is probably one of the best commitments that they've ever pulled in. And that's saying something because they've gotten top guys. But on offensive line, I don't know if they've gotten a Cantwell to commit. They've had the Thibodeaux. They've had a bunch of those guys on D-line, top 5 players. I don't know if they've ever had the number 1 player to work with. I'm scared to see how that's going to go.
Yeah, you're talking about kind of success rate. Actually, the guy on the board that posted kind of the whole history since 2011 of the number 1 rated tackle. I won't read through all the names, but 7 first-rounders, 3 second-rounders, 1 third-rounder, and 1 undrafted free agent. So you're talking about a 92, 93% rate that this guy will be a third-rounder or better.
Yeah,
they're crazy. The UDFA, was that the dude went to Florida?
Yeah, Martez Ivy.
Yeah.
So go figure that one. But
right.
These guys generally, right? They just don't bust. It's clear as day. 6'7", 6'8", 320, super athletic, blood lions, right? Two Olympian parents. The only, I guess, probably not even a question, but one point is, Chris just bounced. Competition level, may not be, as good, right? Francis was at IMG. I think that allowed him to come in, but it does seem like he's going to be a January enrollee, which, will definitely give him a much better chance to start as a true freshman. But, if he's not starting as a true freshman, it's not necessarily a bad sign, right? It's very rare that like a Francis comes in, starts day 1, never gives up that spot, first rounder. So there might be, a small adjustment period with just the level of competition, but, he's going to get to play, the rest of this year. He's going to probably do all those all-star games. There's still a lot of development to go, but, he's going to be developed by, some of the best.
It was funny when I was I'm sure we all watched the commitment ceremony he did, and the amount of times that the people that were going up on stage were like thanking him that he has 1 more year there made me think there was a lot of people in his ear about, hey, you could always come out to Florida a year early and play IMG and all that. But obviously that would be an interesting, judge get that higher level competition a year earlier. But it made me think that there were some people that was some chattering about it. But you also saw when he was up there on the podium, like you talk about his feet, like see what you said, elite feet, like a guy that both of his parents were in the Olympics. Like, it's a very small amount of people that get to go to the Olympics in a lifetime, right? That both of his parents were Olympians. Like, both of them throwers. I think they're both shot put. I could be wrong. But, like, you talk about feet, like, and a feet for a big man.
Like the mom, Olympian shot put, though. Yeah. No wonder why he's so well-mannered.
Yeah, right. We're not messing around with that stuff. You saw his dad at the table was like sitting there, like ready to roll.
That was like the school security guard, like legit, bro. That shirt was stretching. But probably honestly the most like chill 5-star commitment I ever seen. There was no hat games. There was no this. There was no that. It was put the hat. Hold on, my hair. Fix it. Jacket. It was so easy. Thank God. Thank everybody had to pick and go Canes. I can't even guys that I knew that were coming, it was still more stressful. Like Francis, I'm sitting here waiting to drop his review, and I'm still stressed just because you don't know if Tennessee took that personally. Like, you don't know. And the bag man and all that stuff. This had to be like the chillest like most like straight business like commitment for like at least this level of a player, bro. Like everybody, obviously, these last few weeks with the whole NIL thing, and then he's pushed his date back twice. He's scheduled more visits. First, Oregon was supposed to get the last visit, then Georgia got the last visit, and then bag talks. Oh, Miami got that bag. Thanks for recruiting for us. When you throw those numbers out, but yeah, nah, this was probably the chillest like 5-star recruit like commit I've ever seen. I respect for how classy it was. It was just very smooth. There was no there was just nothing that you can complain about when you're waiting for a commitment. It was efficient. It wasn't overstretched. The people in his life that meant something to him had their time. He was there with his parents. Boom, go Canes. He was already recruiting 15 minutes later.
Go ahead, Bill.
I have an immature point to make.
Go ahead.
I pulled up their schedule to see if they played like any like national teams or anything. Doesn't look like it, but they did face a team called Kickapoo on October 3rd last year, and they beat them 48-13.
Yeah, they might have Bishop Sycamore on the schedule next year. Hey, it worked for Francis going on IMG. Didn't really work for Jaden Wayne, so I don't really care if he goes against top competition. Hey, we got to get him in there. Some people might say, "Oh, but we took Pancake that didn't do that first time." Bro, Pancake had an ACL and we were plus 300 pounds, bro. You know, that's different. It's different. We're really gonna see what he's made of this year, because bro, we just really don't know. He got hurt literally immediately, so you just really don't know. So we'll see him now a year removed, and we'll see how that goes. But I think this one is a little bit safer of a pick. I feel like everybody kind of knew Francis was the safest out of the 2 5-stars of that class, and Cantwell was giving those vibes.
Great. Real quick Kickapoo point for Bill. Kickapoo, once the home of Jack Black. The town of Kickapoo was made famous in a song by Tenacious D, his band, and I think it was in the movie The Pick of Destiny. But Kickapoo, home of Jack Black, Kickapoo, Missouri.
There you go. A little bit of history.
We're not just football people. We're not just football. Got a lot of extra information.
We're Kickapoo people.
You guys just get a little tiny slice of this, but we have a lot of good stuff to offer to the world. You just get the football stuff. Anyway, but speaking of football stuff, Bill messaged me earlier, and he said, we got to talk about this 16-team playoff thing. And he said, I have some intense thoughts about it. And I was like, I mean, it's Bill, so I don't know how intense these thoughts are going to be, but he has some ideas. So, Steve, are you all right to switch gears and talk a little 16-team playoff here for a second?
Yeah, I don't like it. I just think 16 teams is crazy. Like, I get it. You're trying to squeeze this for as much revenue as possible, like the NFL, because the NFL is the most successfully marketed pro league. You look at the NBA, they're falling in the dust. They just lost Christmas again to the NFL. So yeah, I get it, but bro, y'all understand these kids got finals, right? But then again, they're only student athletes when it's.
Let me kind of explain kind of what the vision is at this point. 16 teams, SEC, Big Ten get 4 automatic qualifiers. Big Ten, ACC get 2. 1 for the G5, rest at large. Conference championship weekend would turn into play-in weekend. So the ACC, they have 2 automatic bids. 1 would play 4, 2 would play 3 to go. And then I believe the SEC would top 2 go in automatically, and then 3 play 6, 4 plays 5 to get in. So essentially conference championships are done. Any high-profile game at the end of the year between, let's say, Alabama, Auburn, Iron Bowl, right? 10-2 Auburn, 11-1 Alabama. All that matters would be the seeding within the mini SEC playoff, potentially. So,
it'd be terrible. I think it's stupid. They're gonna do it.
Same amount of rounds, because then there's no buys. I don't know how I didn't even get into like how seating would work, but just a ridiculous format further kills the regular season. And then the counter argument, some people are making, hey, more games are going to matter, but the bigger games are going to matter slightly less. No one's going to give two rats' asses about seeding for the Big 12 playing game, whether who's 1, 2, 4, whatever.
I think it's retarded.
Steve, you put it, I don't know if you noticed it, but you put this whole change of college football into great terms just like 45 seconds ago. You said it's terrible, it's stupid, they're gonna do it. Like that's like you said those 3 lines back to back, and I was like, that's it, Steve-O. That's everything. It's terrible, it's stupid, they're gonna do this thing.
They're gonna do it. But I mean, diluting the regular season kind of already happened with the 12 team. You know how much they were pushing for Bama to make the playoffs until they just finally became true that Bama's not Bama without Coach Saban. Like, stop trying to cover up this Vandy loss, bro. Like, shut up. Like, shut up. Because all these media people are gonna push that propaganda that these 3 and 4 teams lost SEC teams should be, bro. It should be fair across the board. I think it should be three Big 10, 3 SEC, 3 Big 12, 3 ACC, and the rest at large, bro. If y'all the best conference, then y'all should control the at-large bid. Y'all don't need no automatic invitation to the dance, bro. If y'all really like that, then stop being so scary. Like, you want to go in here with assurances that you'll have 4 teams automatically. Yeah, I get it. That's more money, but it's the same amount of money if they win that at-large bid. Like, don't put in this 4-loss Ole Miss team over an 11-1 TCU team just because, hey, we got this schedule, we got this. Then, bro, win some damn games, bro. I'm sorry, but anybody who wins 4 games and loses 4 games in a season, bro, does not have the right to compete for a championship, bro. Like, I'm sorry, bro. 3 in this type of setting is the most, and I still don't like that. Like, nah, bro. Like, you should not be able to lose 4 games in a 12-game schedule and compete for a national championship just because the conference you playing. Right. Hell nah, bro. Learn how to win. You're not gonna win the championship because we just seen you lose to these teams that they're parading in the championship line, bro. You're gonna just you got smacked by Bama in the regular season or smacked by Tennessee University. That's what's about to happen to you now. Like, you're getting smacked. Like, I don't want to see that. Imagine seeing. You see Alabama, Georgia during the year. You see it during the play-in. And now it's in the playoffs. Like, bro, who want to see that for the 3rd time? Like, man, Red River rivalry. They play it 3 times a year, bro. What's special about that now? It's red eye rivalry. Everybody bored, sleepy, crying.
Oh, Steve-O.
Like, nobody want to see that no more, bro. Like, it's so bad. 16 teams will be horrible, bro. Horrible. And that's going to raise the market on the players again because they're going to be like, hey, we're playing more games. We deserve more money, which is true. And you guys are getting more money because y'all want to be greedy with these games. We're going to get more money because we need to be greedy. We're the ones playing these games. Yeah. Like, it's just going to continue to escalate conflict after conflict. But 16 is too much, bro. It's hard already with 12, bro. See, there's not 16 teams in the nation that deserve to compete for a national championship, bro. The top 25, you get good matchups. You can have a couple bowl games that are worth watching when you see, some guys that were, playoff fringe guys. You see the 13s, the 14s, consistent teams. You see a Utah or something like that they play a good bowl game. Those are fun to watch. But, bro, you can't put them in the playoff and act like it's all good, bro. Like, come on. Like, imagine like a Colorado team and like last year's Colorado team in the playoff. For what? That offensive line they wouldn't have been able to do nothing. Like, don't put these guys in the playoffs just to deepen your own pockets, bro. I think 12 is enough. It needed to expand. I would have preferred 8, but then they would have just sent 4 Big 10 for it anyway. So 12 is enough. 16 is just too much, bro. It dilutes the product, bro. You're just gonna have just mid-offs, like just not playoff games, and they're just gonna be lackluster. It's just, I don't know. I don't favor the 16 team playoff. I just don't think it makes sense for anybody other than TV networks.
Right. And like something that bothers me about the idea that you got to put 4 SEC, you got to put 4 Big Ten because our conferences are so much better. Like we live in a world where you don't play the majority of the teams in your conference anymore. Like you don't play like half the teams in your conference. So like you're going to say, well, we played whatever, 8 different teams in the SEC we played. Like these conferences are gigantic. So like you might have played 8 teams in the SEC, but maybe you played the second best and then the 5th and 6th best and then the 9th best and then the 13th best and the 14th best. Like, does that mean you should get a better shot than a team that cleared out their whole conference? Like you said, like a hypothetical TCU team?
Like, all you've done was shown that you can't beat the big teams all year. So why are we going to put you in the playoffs to play the big teams, bro? Like, come on, bro.
If you lost to 3 of those teams, you lost to the 2nd, 5th, and 9th best SEC teams. Why the hell are you going?
Yeah, why are you going to the playoffs, bro? Like, yeah, bro. Like, you lost.
Look how passionate you guys are about this. I didn't even have to do it. Yeah. But the root cause of this entire issue is the super conferences, because like Chris was saying, you don't play your whole conference, so it's really hard to like even gauge, team A versus team B.
Right.
But I even think back to last year, right? Michigan upsets Ohio State, right? And as soon as that game ended and the whole flag planting thing, after all that, what was the reaction? Oh, it doesn't matter. Ohio State's going to be in the playoff anyway. They're just not going to play for the Big Ten title. Their seed's going to drop, whatever.
Right.
I just can't imagine like just some of the awesome games at the end of the year just not mattering other than seeding for your in-conference playing game.
Like
they're going to start resting. They're going to start resting starters in these games at the end of the year, bro. I promise you. That's coming
That's
next.
another thing. If you're
these games don't matter.
Miami, you're locked into that 1 seed. Why even try?
You gonna put Cam Ward out there? No, you gonna like just like in the NFL, bro. That's you wanted to be in the NFL. Guess what the NFL football looks like? Week 16, week 17. It is abysmal. You're getting Taylor Heineke highlights. Like like that is what the NFL is on 20 and 16, 17 game season, bro. Yeah. And it's no fault to any organization, because if you clinched a berth, what is it? Like, why would you put Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley out there? For what?
Lashley said it. He was like, hey, what's the point of playing a championship game if we play in this game and lose? What's the point? Why even go? Like, why even go if we're out of there if we lose this game? Like, and then sure enough, you're getting rid of championship games.
I think needs to be at 12. 3 automatic bids SEC, 3 automatic bids Big Ten, 3 automatic bids ACC, and then you could do Big 12, 2 bids, and then at large, or just the top group. I don't know, bro. Or actually not 2 automatic bids. I'm sorry. Yeah, 2 automatic bids each, and then the rest are at large. And if y'all the best conference, then show it. But like, yeah, come on, bro. Like,
no one.
State, you lost to Oregon. You lost to Ohio State, and you lost to what's another Big Ten power? They'll say, let's just say somebody, Michigan. And let's just say they're good this year because they have 2 good quarterbacks right now on paper. Let's say you lose to all 3 of them. Like, come on, bro. Like, we're not gonna put you in the playoff to play them boys again. Like, you ready to proofs in the pudding? This type of stuff irritates me. I hate it.
How many teams do you think are capable of actually winning a national championship? It's probably in that 6 to 10 range in a given year.
Yeah, I would probably say 5 to 10.
Yeah, my ultimate solution would be revert back to the old conferences, right? So you have a Power 5, 5 conference champions, 3 at large, 8. Perfect number. Regular season matters, play conference championships matter. But obviously that'll never, ever, ever happen. So we're more likely to go to 16 than 24 than we are to go back to
24. Could you imagine 24 teams?
It's gonna happen. You watch.
This is it's close to happening, but the ACC just kicked the can down the road. Like, there's going to be a point where there's going to be 3 major conferences. You might have like a merger of the Pac-12 and the AC leftovers, but the Big 12, there's going to be teams everybody already knows in the ACC, Clemson, Miami, Florida State, and North Carolina that are worth more than the other teams in the ACC. That's not anything anybody can debate. You have some teams that are worth some stuff, like you got NC State, Virginia Tech, that have history. They're worth a little bit more than other teams, but that top tier is extremely clear. Everybody knows who's making the most money in the ACC, those 4 schools. So you would think the SEC or Big Ten are getting at least 2 of the 4 each.
Yeah.
Then they're probably they can't just sit at 20. They're probably going to go up a little bit. So they'll probably go, 22, 24. So they get, things that make sense. They'll go, Virginia or Virginia Tech or, NC State. But then guess what? For the Big 12, they're going to sit there and expand. They're going to grab a school like a Pittsburgh or a Louisville or these type of the middle tier ACC teams that it makes sense.
Right.
Duke. Big 12 is the best basketball league. If they grab a Duke, that's a no-brainer for them. So that's a no-brainer for them. And then you think about what else? Maybe Syracuse. But then like the bottom feeder the ACC teams, the Wake Forests, the Boston Colleges, maybe Georgia Tech could be in that conversation for the Big 12. I think maybe they would like that Atlanta market, but how much of that Atlanta market really comes with Georgia Tech? That's a Brett Yormark question. But them bottom feeders are going to have to look for a spot. And guess what? Stanford and Cal are going right back to the Pac-12. And whoever else want to come with them.
Honestly, I don't think this would have made me so mad if they would have just decided, however many years ago, look, we're just making new football conferences. We're going to break away from all the other sports. We're just going to make new conferences. We're going to call it Super North, Super South, Super West. And then they could have done whatever they wanted. They could have made 30-team conferences, whatever, wouldn't have bothered me. But it's like if you're saying Duke go to the Big 12, could you imagine like all of a sudden you turn the TV on, it's ESPN on like a random Thursday night, and it's Big 12 college basketball, Duke versus Syracuse. What? What the hell is this?
Yeah.
It's like
it'll be awesome. It's like Duke versus
playoff to 16 in a span of 3 years.
That's how greedy they are. It needs to stay at 12. I think 12 is already like lenient with it. 14 just doesn't make sense. That's why the number is 16, because 14 just doesn't make sense at all. But 16 ain't much better either, if any better at all. It needs to stay at 12. You have a lot of conference realignment and TV executives that are ruining college football. And these plans are going to backfire. Like a lot of these people, they do these spur the things and they think, oh, this is just the trend. Like, do you understand how quick things come full circle? Like, remember the NFL running back position is dead. It's all about throwing the ball over people's heads. And then guess what defensive coordinator said? We're going to live in 2 high safeties. They're not going to bomb us every play. Like, it's just not going to happen. Now, guess what's happened to the running back position? Oh, we need to complete short passes. We need to be able to get our guys the ball in space and run the football. We got to get those safeties to step up. Just like how we were taught growing up. You got to run the football to throw it. Like, oh, right. Guess what? Things come full circle eventually, bro. So I just hope when things come full circle, it's not too late for the people at B for college football, because this thing, you can't overreact to a trend that you don't know is going to be this. The college football formula, was not a trend. It worked for 100+ years, and it turned into the $1 billion cash cow it is now. All this experimentation with it and all this, that, you don't know how it's going to last. It's already rubbed fans the wrong way. A lot of fans don't even think they have the right to compete for a national title. They're not watching these games. They already watched them twice in the regular season. You think they're going to put on Georgia versus Alabama for the 3rd time? A Kansas State fan's going to watch that game? No, right? They're shrinking the audience every year.
I think the 16-team playoff with the format is a overreaction from the SEC because of what happened this year with essentially 9-3 Bama, 9-3 South Carolina, 9-3 Ole Miss being left out, and that's because they choked with really bad losses at the end of the year. But if you thought there were some bad matchups, bad results, right? That first round of the playoffs was pretty lopsided, right? Every game, I think, was at least 10 points or 14, whatever it was. What's going to happen when 11-1 Texas is playing like 8-4 West Virginia because they snuck in as the second Big 12 team or whatever it is, right? Like, it may take like a year or two or three, but eventually no one's really going to pay attention to those matchups unless there's more upsets than you can anticipate. But the way it's going, it's still the haves and the have-nots, and there's very few haves in the college football world.
Yeah,
there's like 10.
Yeah. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's not at all what you'd like to see, but I mean, money people make these moves and they do not care about other people who do not have as much money and the ability to take that money from them. So whatever. It's a shame, but that's college football. Let's just hope that before it all blows up, we should get one more ring. Just one more. Just one more ring. Then maybe it blows up, but just get one more. Come on.
Yeah, they're gonna call it the NIL ring.
We still have that banner's going up. I don't care. I don't care where we have to hang it up. Hang it up somewhere. But anyway, it is what it is. It's college football. And luckily for Miami, college football is looking a lot better after you get a 5-star offensive lineman. I know that much. But
haves and have-nots.
Talent acquisition, Steve-O. Talent acquisition. But that'll do it for us. We appreciate you guys tuning in here on a Wednesday night, talk some football with us. Obviously, great to get a guy like Jackson Cantwell. Got to talk about him. Got to talk about the state of the Hurricanes, how we're just bullying just big brother in programs all over the South with all that money we got, pushing us poor people out of the way so we can go get our 5-star offensive lineman and also get some 16-team playoff chat. We have one more week. Today is 109 days away from football, so we have one more week. Next week, we can focus a lot of time. Next week, Steve-O. Next week, we can focus a lot on that 100 plays. Next week, Steve-O.
Yeah,
we're not going to go to 11 o'clock again tonight. I got sleep. I got stuff to do. I got to bring the garbage out. I don't have time to talk about the 100 plays.
Yeah, we was offline for a minute on that one. I have 3 ready to share screen right now on my.
Save it.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Calm down, Steve. Next week when you have 46 clips to show us.
I only got 3 right now.
Let me just show you the feet of Javaris James right here.
Let's not go down any rabbit holes.
Nah, we're good. There's a James on one of mine, but it's not a Tavares. It's a Mike
James. Yeah, Mike James. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody else was like, "Oh, he's got edge on there." Nah, I knew that was Mike James.
Now there was a time frame where if you saw anybody in the backfield other than Duke Johnson, you were like, "Yo, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?" Then when we seen that 5, you're like, "All right, never mind. It's Mike James. Especially that Georgia Tech game, like willed us, like literally like 4 or 5 tutties. But yeah, there was a time there if you saw anything but 8 in the backfield, you're like, yo, like what's going on?
Yeah, but that's a good conversation for next week, Chris, Steve-O, and Bill. I promise you that. But before we get out of here, final thoughts, Bill.
Feels good. 5-star offensive lineman. Maybe some 5-star skill positions soon come. Maybe we'll see. There's some chatter out there, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, people put out we're paying people $2.5 million. See, that might turn it. That might make a 5-star want to pick up the phone. Hey, what's going on over there?
Hey, you guys got some cash you're throwing around. I'll take it. But Steve-O, final thoughts for the people.
I love that question from my dog Ronnie at the end. But final thoughts is, bro, we just got the number 1 player in the class. It's 5-star offensive lineman. I don't think there's any more resources devoted, or there's any position with more resources devoted to than offensive linemen. So I'm glad to see that whatever they got going on is working. Off of just the on-field product, and O-line has obviously gone tremendously up and up and up every year. We feel like we have more guys when we do these shows before the season. We go like, hey, we got some depth here. We seen this guy, or hey, he played this last year, blah, blah, blah. He's a tweener. They cried. It's just nice to see all these resources not going to waste.
Yep.
You got on-field development. You see it. You got guys going to the draft. You got 5 stars committing here and doing 3 and outs. So it's just awesome. It's a great time to be a Canes fan. And Chance is fully healthy. They held him out a little bit in spring. He was already doing straight line sprints and stops and stuff. His thing is the hamstring. So he's working full out. I see him all the time. So he's looking good. I think if there's anybody to make one of these portal receivers sit the bench, it'll probably be Chance, because they just haven't seen him. He's been hurt. He's been banged up. So I think that's like you getting a new player, honestly, almost like a portal edition, with him. So if there's anybody to make one of these portal guys, hey, we thought he was going to come in here and do this, but now that we're looking at it, it's better we do this. It'd probably be a Chance. He's the guy really with that body type outside. We really don't have that physical, chiseled, big guy who's really swift. It's not the combination like a DK Metcalf where he's just a big guy who can go downfield straight. Chance is really, really polished.
All right. Good to hear. Good to hear. Guy that, we're very high on, Steve-O, you especially, obviously, but coming into the program too. Get him on the field. Sounds like a good deal. We'll see how it all plays out here in the coming 109 days before we get the whole college football. But that'll do it for us. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks to D-Money, Pete, and all the guys at CanesInSight, guys at Canes Connection, for putting the money on the table.
Yeah.
For showing it, just spreading it out real nice out there in Nixa, Missouri. I mean, that was probably the most. But imagine the influx of that economy to a 2.5 mil into Nixa, Missouri. I mean, I don't know what they're going to buy out there, but buy something. Buy something out there. But good to see it. Love to see it. So anyway, that'll do it for us. Thank you guys for watching the show. We appreciate you. Thanks to everybody that was in the chat, having a conversation with us. Well, I'm always appreciated. We will see you guys again next week, right here, as always, 3 Live Canes. Everybody have a good week.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big game.